go like a big magnet, just zoop right into the center. Why? Because what is better about a piece in the center versus a piece on the edge of the board? Why do we go towards the center?
Because it's more of an attack.
It's more of an attack, yeah. How many squares, Trey, does a knight attack on the edge of the board?
2, 4.
4. 4 on the edge, and how many in the center?
8.
8. It's double. So your knight is twice as good in the center as it is on the edge of the board. How about the corner? How many pieces, or how many squares does it control?
2.
Just 2. So this is the worst square for the knight, right? It only controls 2 squares. So that's why everything goes towards the center. Same with the bishop. Bishop on the edge of the board controls 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 squares. How about here? How many squares can that control?
8. Well, 16.
28.
How long?
A lot, right? It's 2 full diagonals. This is at least 7 squares here, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 squares there. 13, right?
Yeah.
So bishop in the center. So that's true of all of your pieces. So that's why we always want to go towards the center. Okay, so after you develop your pieces into the center and you're in the middle game, well, what do you do now? Okay, here's the secret. You improve your worst piece. You look at all your little pieces and you say, who is in the worst square? And then you try to improve him and put him on a better place. You can do that every move. Every move you can do it. You can say, I have nothing to do. I don't know what my plan is. But this knight doesn't look good here, so I'm going to move him to another square. That's a good plan to do if you don't know what to do. So in the middle game, you want to improve your worst piece and use your tactics. And then what is the plan for the end game? Checkmate the king, right? But how do we do that?
Without stalemating.
Without stalemating. That's the key. Make a passed pawn. What's a passed pawn?
A pawn at the end of the board turns into the queen.
Close. A passed pawn is a pawn that has no pawns in front of it and no pawns to the side of it that can take. So he's got a clear path to promote and become a queen. That's a passed pawn. That's what we always aim for. Because what?
He turns into a queen.
Turns into a queen. And in an endgame when you have just kings and pawns and maybe one piece like a knight, that's not enough to win. So your goal in the endgame is always to make a passed pawn. All right, the last thing we're going to see in this game is bishops are better than knights. How many points is a bishop worth?
8. 3.
No!
3.
3. Ooh, fancy. 3.5. Okay, how about the knight?
3.
3. 3 and 3. If you trade a bishop for a knight, it's even. You're not losing any material. But why are bishops? Simona's right. She said bishop is 3.5. Why?
They control more squares.
It controls more squares. He's a long distance piece. Remember, this bishop that's here controls 13 squares. The knight still can only control 8. So, this bishop is going to be better than the knight in the endgame. And we're going to see why. All right, are you ready to see this famous game?
Yes.
Okay. So Bobby Fischer started with pawn to c4. Is that in the center?
No.
No, but is it hitting the center?
It's hitting it.
It's hitting the center, right? It's hitting the d5 square. So black plays e6. Also hitting. So they're already fighting. On move number 1, white and black are already fighting over d5 square. What's our plan for the opening?
Control the center.
And develop your pieces. So how can we develop towards the center? As
To
white.
control the center.
Yep. Who do we develop first?
Knight F3.
Knights. Knight to f3. Good. Knight to f3. Black plays d5. Remember? They're fighting over it. Now he's there. Ha-ha. A small victory. Now this bishop can come out, and he's got control of the center with his pawns. Does white want to let black have control of the center?
No.
No, he doesn't. So how can he fight for it? How can he fight for the center?
He goes.
Okay, that's a good developing move. Knight to c3 is a good developing move into the center. But, I don't know.
Controlling two.
Maybe he can push by and we have to move our knight again. Maybe not. Maybe this is good, but Fischer played a different move.
So we should stop that pawn from going forward.
We should stop that pawn.
How can we do that, Cohen?
Well, it can't go forward.
Pawn,
Capture.
pawn d4.
Pawn d4.
Yeah, very good.
Nice. That is the move. Yeah. What happens if we capture? We all love capturing, don't we? But what happens, Trey, if
Pawn
we
takes
capture
pawn.
this pawn?
Pawn d4.
Pawn will take. Now, did white help black out? Remember what I said yesterday. You only want to trade when it's going to help you, not when it's going to help your opponent. How does trading help black here?
Well,
It's
now
controlling the center.
the bishop is go out.
Ah, he let the bishop out.
Yeah.
See, when you trade this pawn here, he was blocked in. This bishop on c8 is blocked in by his own pawn. So if we take, and black takes back, is he happy now?
Yep.
Sure. Now his bishop can come all the way out. So we don't want to trade. We want to leave it there and control the center. Pawn to d4. Beautiful. All right. Black has the same plan. Develop into the center. So he plays knight to f6. Which square are they fighting for?
E4.
E4.
Nope. Which square is all the action about?
E5.
D5. D5.
Remember, from move 1, the fight was all about the d5 square. So how can white develop his pieces towards the center and add more pressure to d5?
Knight to c3.
Very good. Knight to c3. Absolutely. Absolutely right. So, black has to ask himself, am I concerned? How many attackers does white have on d5?
2.
2. 1, 2. How many defenders does black have?
2. Oh,
1,
okay.
2, 3.
So he's okay, right? He doesn't have to worry about losing this pawn. So he makes a developing move. The quiet bishop to e7. What do you think his plan is? When you see a move like bishop to e7, what does black want to do on his next move?
Move the knight.
Move
Castle.
the castle.
Yeah.
Castle, yeah. This knight or this knight, Richard? This knight's already developed. So once we develop a piece, we want to leave it.
Yeah, the B8.
The b8.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe. You can start developing your queen side first, but usually it's a good idea to get your king into safety before you work on your queen side. All right, it's Fischer's move. He's making another opening plan. And what do you do in the opening? Always, every move.
Control center, develop.
Develop. Control the center and develop. Okay, which piece have we not developed yet? Our bishop. Both of them. Okay, so who do you want to bring out first?
Bishop F4.
Bishop F4. I like it. I like it. It's hitting the center. Let's bring the bishop out. Fischer didn't put it on that square, though. He picked a different square. Who sees the square he went to?
G5?
G5. Yeah. Played bishop to G5.
I think so that they try to, like you're talking about, to control the fighting for d5. So that's they try to put the bishop in d5 to, in some point, to eliminate the knight to guard in d5.
Right, that's exactly right. See how what Juan is saying? This knight here is one of the defenders of d5. So Bobby Fischer is already thinking in his plan, if this knight, if I can trade this knight off, maybe someday this pawn will be weak and I can win it. Removing the defender. Good, thank you, Juan. Yes, absolutely right. Bishop to g5. That's probably why he thought it was a little bit better than here. Which hits this weak pawn, but maybe black can play this and is okay. All right? But that's still a good developing move.
Hits the knight.
So bishop to g5. Spassky says it's time.
The castle.
Castle, our king behind a nice pawn. What's this called?
Wall.
Pawn wall. Yeah, pawn wall. Good. All right. Bobby says it's time to bring out my other bishop. Yep. So that I can
Castle.
castle. Yes. E3. Okay, Spassky plays H6. Now, can we develop our bishop? No, we can't do it yet. We always must look to see what our opponent has just played.
He's threatening our bishop.
Threatening our bishop. So what should we do with it? We have four choices. We can take the knight, we can take the pawn, we can go here to F4, or we can go to H4. Who wants to take on H6, take the pawn? Who wants to take the knight with the bishop?
I kind of do.
Okay. Who wants to play bishop to F4? That was Simone. Simone wants to play bishop F4. She always wanted her knight or bishop there. How about who votes bishop H4? Okay. The move he played was bishop to H4. It's too soon to take the knight.
But you can still threaten it.
Ah, but you can still threaten it because the threat is always better than actually taking it.
And,
Why is that?
Putting pressure on them.
Putting pressure, exactly.
yeah, making pressure.
You're making pressure, you're keeping it. If you take it, black says, okay, no more pressure, and now my bishop is in a better square.
And also, Gabby, I can say something when
Yeah.
they put the bishop in H4,
Okay.
H4, right?
Uh-huh.
So another idea I see, so he tried to your opponent to make G5 because more the beginnings or some players they try to attack in pieces. But if you
talking
play
to me 'cause I
G5,
played
he tried to G5 is tried to make weak more the king castle. So now he can play bishop G3 and some point start with H4
That's
and
right.
it's very strong attack.
He's saying, if you want to play black, if you want to play G5, go ahead. Make your king weak, and the bishop can run away. Now we have some weaknesses here. Okay? Yeah. So if you move here, maybe your opponent will do this, and now you have, lots of holes in front of the king that you can take advantage of.
Bishop
If you just
D3.
trade, then it's gone.
Yes,
So
sir.
we want to keep the pressure and allow our opponent to make a mistake like this. He thinks he's becoming too active. Maybe we can even take here and
And then
sacrifice.
bishop D.
And open up this rook here. Come
No,
down.
after when you play like bishop G3, and then after you're ready, you can play H4 to make more strong. Like
Yeah, I mean, he might be able to block it,
Yeah.
but yeah, lots of possibilities here. More possibilities with bishop to H4 than if we just take right away.
And if he makes the holes, he could go bishop D3.
Yeah, bishop to D3 is coming, right? Simone sees that. Bishop to D3 to point right at the king, potentially. Good. All right, so Spassky made his move. Pawn to B6. What do we think about this move? Why? We must always ask why our opponent played this. Why? He has a plan too. We have to always think, what's his plan? We have to think about our plan and our opponent's plan. Oh my gosh, chess is hard. Okay, so why did he go here? What do you think?
Yeah.
Fianchetto the bishop to have more protection on this important square, D5.
Improving his worst piece.
Improving his worst piece. That's right. This bishop is the worst. He can't get out. What if we put him here? Well, he's not doing anything there either. At least on B7, he'll have a job to do if this knight ever wants to run away. Any other reason why he might play there?
Well, also BC is some point black can fighting with C5 at some point,
Right, black wants to fight with C5 eventually.
and that says fighting for the Senate.
Too soon now,
Yeah.
but he's already thinking, yeah. Black wants to challenge white here. Okay, so B6. Nothing immediately we have to worry about as white. So he decided to make a trade before he continues his development. And he played pawn takes pawn. What do you think? How should black take that? He already has made maybe a clue that he wants to put his bishop here to go on the d5 square.
If he takes with the knight, it's a trade of knights.
If he takes with the knight, you can trade the knights. And trade bishop and bishop, right? This bishop is very strong. This bishop is not doing anything. So he did. He took back with the knight, not the pawn.
Colin, you have a question?
That's the ending the white knight.
That's the end of white's knight?
It's threatening.
Oh, it's threatening his knight. Yeah, he could take here. But it's defended by the pawn, so we're okay. If black takes and white takes back, black helped white. Now white has 1, 2, 3 pawns in the center, and black only has 1. Okay, this could become very strong. Remember, we only want to trade when it helps who?
You.
When it helps us or helps you, not when it helps your opponent. So this would be helping white, so I don't think black wants to do that. So he took, we have to move this. Bishop takes bishop.
It's a fork.
It is a fork. Dun, 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 dun. It won't last very long, no. It's not a very long-lasting fork. Queen takes back. Now, Fischer is looking, he's very fishy. He's looking at this bishop, and he knows where this bishop is going to go. And where is that bishop going?
B7.
B7, right? Now, if this knight runs away, this bishop is good or bad?
Good.
It's a very good bishop. He's got nice range down here, possibly down towards the king, if white castles on this side. So Fischer says, I don't want black to have a really nice bishop like this. So I'm going to take him now. Now's the time to take because it helps us. It helps me. When black recaptures now, there's a pawn here. Is black going to put his bishop here now? No, he's just, this is called biting on wood. Take a piece of wood and bite down on it. Does it feel good? No, doesn't. It doesn't feel good to have a bishop right behind a pawn that can never move forward. Okay? So that's why Bobby Fischer played that. Now the bishop has to go out another way.
Well, are these the moves in the game?
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't he take with the queen?
Why didn't he take with the queen? Where? The queen is here.
Queen is
Remember
there?
when the
Oh,
bishop
queen times
took
bishop.
the bishop,
Okay.
the queen had to take back.
Sorry.
Yeah. He could have taken back with the knight, but that's going backwards. The knights hate going backwards. So he took back with the queen, also to make a square for the rook. So he, in this position, he only had one choice to recapture back, was with the pawn.
Okay, my mistake.
All right, so let's see. Okay, so it's Fischer's move now. Who sees a good move for white? Are we, first of all, where are we? Are we in the opening, the middle game, or the end game?
The middle game.
The middle game. And what is our plan for the middle game?
Use tactics.
Use tactics if we can, or
Improve your best.
improve your worst piece. Okay, well here, for white, we also haven't finished developing. So we are going to develop one of our worst pieces.
Which is your bishop.
You think it's the bishop? Where would you put the bishop?
The Liz doesn't let diagonals.
Mm-hmm. So where do you want to go?
I'd go B5.
B5, bishop to B5 here.
Yeah.
Not wrong.
Yeah, ooh, this is,
Bishop,
uh-oh.
queen.
If we go here, we have a tactic.
Exactly.
We lose the bishop. Does
I'm
anyone
going.
see how we lose the bishop if we play bishop here?
Queen before check, right? We said?
Queen before check?
Queen b4 check. Fork, that's your favorite. Check And is the queen blocks? Do we take the queen? No, we take the free bishop instead. Yummy! Okay, so we can't play bishop to b5. This is not the piece he moved. He improved one of his other worst pieces.
Rook C1.
Rook to C1.
I like A1 to C1.
Yep,
It's
That's
pinning,
what I like.
it's pinning the pawn to the bishop.
exactly. Rook to C1. Pinning the pawn to the bishop. Okay, the bishop is defended, yes. But we always want to put our rooks on an open file or a half open file. Is the C file open or half open?
Half open.
Half open for white. Do you see any other half open files? What other files are
Yeah.
there? Where?
Semi-open file. E, right?
E. The E file is half open also, for black.
Yeah.
There are no pawns in front of black's pieces, but there is one here. This would be completely open. Is no pawns at all the way down. The H file is what?
Half open.
When we have two pawns on the same file of different colors, that's called a closed file. The rooks can't do anything. This is closed. This is half because there's no pawn for white, but one pawn for black. Is a half open or a semi-open. And if there's no pawns at all, then it's totally open. And rooks love that. So this rook is happy looking at this pawn. Rook to C1. So black develops his bishop towards the center. Now white moves another piece. He's never moving the same piece twice. He's always moving a new piece out, developing. In this case, he develops his queen.
I'd say queen
Queen
D C2.
to C2. That's what I might see, because we're looking at C5. We're threatening to take here immediately. I think it's pretty easy to defend, though.
Yeah, I like to move my knight to
And it's threatening
five.
the pole and the king.
and develop the queen out that diagonal path,
Knight to E5 and bring the queen onto the king side.
if you like. I mean,
That's also a possibility. This knight likes this square here. It's a nice little outpost. He can never kick him away because why? Where will this knight go?
G.
Yeah, oh boy. Uh-oh. Called
Fork.
fork. So this is a nice little outpost for the knight, which might come in handy later. But in this case, he just moved his queen to A4.
Suspect. Fishy.
It is fishy. It is a fishy move. Why did he go to A4? This is kind of a hard one to
I
explain.
have no idea.
No, first you can see the queen E7, they cannot go to B4 to
Yeah.
do a check. Then number one, you control the check first.
He's stopping the check. Because
Okay.
white hasn't castled his king yet. And he's not even close because his bishop is still here.
And number two, you can see how Fischer controlled the square C6, which developed in some point the knight, and that's it. That's going to be the problem for
Yeah.
black.
So he's limiting
Because-
his opponent's.
Yeah, because you
play.
can see
Right.
the knight they cannot develop right now because you put the knight in D7, the rook in C1, they take a C7, pin the. So now the problem with black pieces to develop the bishop in the knight in B7 and B8. This is the problem now.
Yeah, he's going to have trouble getting this knight out, right? That's exactly right.
It's
Would that qualify as a plan to limit your opponent's?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a good idea to limit your opponent's moves whenever you can. And also he's developing, because it does count to develop the queen. She's active here. Here, she's not doing anything. At least here she has a job to do, keeping C6 controlled by white and keeping the queen out of B4.
and it's pinning the pawn to the rook.
And it's pinning the pawn to the rook, right? This pawn can never capture as long as this rook is here. Okay, good. So queen to A4, so black responds with pawn break. C5, are we afraid of this?
Yes.
Yes, well, maybe we should be. Okay. So C5. Bobby Fischer probably saw this coming. So he put his queen here so that he could reposition it to another square. Use tactics. Pin. Use tactics. Pin for this move. Yeah, for this move, we want to make a pin on our opponent.
Queen to A3.
Very good. Queen to A3.
Oh, pin on the two pawns.
What are we pinning?
2 pawns.
Only one pawn, really. Which pawn is the most important pawn that we're pinning?
C5.
C5. If black pushes by or captures,
He takes the queen.
he loses his queen. Okay. So, queen to A3. Excellent move. Black brings his worst piece into the game, or one of them, right? These are undeveloped, so he went with this one first. Rook to C8. Threatening, perhaps, not now, because the queen is still hanging, but a discovery. If he ever takes here,
Oh, to discover.
he's discovering onto white's unguarded
Check.
rook. Okay, but this one's defended, so I guess he could take first. But yeah, the rooks are fighting for the C file here. It's going to open up soon, any minute. The pawn structure is still changing. Rook to C1. Okay, so rook to C8. Now we develop
Our bishop.
our bishop. Where do we put our bishop?
D3?
Bishop to D3.
I was thinking a little further, but it's not good.
It's okay.
Pawn can't advance right now, but
Can't advance now, but it's very tempting to want to move the queen and then push forward and kick this bishop.
Well, black can't move the pawn to move the queen.
Yeah, he can't move it now. He'll have to move his queen. Maybe he could do something like this. And then maybe want to push forward with C4. Could be his plan.
I would put it to B5.
That is where he put it. Why do you want to put it here?
It's just doing something and develops it. Controls those light squares. Maybe you can push it to C6 or something. Mostly, I was thinking though, the position's a little closed.
It's going to open up here in a second, though. I mean, anytime
Yeah.
you see pawns like this, they're not going to stay like that forever while there's action going on the half-open files. And this king is still in the center. Black wants to rip this open,
Yeah.
right? Unfortunately, white is very close to castling his king.
But what if he pushes a pawn to A6? I mean,
That's what he played. That's what he played. Spassky. You've seen this game before. No, it's a very good move. Pawn to A6. Okay.
Threatening bishop A6.
Threatening.
A4.
Threatening bishop A6 or queen A6.
Well, it's guarded twice, and it's attacked twice, so white will lose that one if he takes. This loses a bishop.
What I think is A6 is not
We have the
it's not problem for white
Yeah.
because if you take my bishop, I take your rook in A6. You see that?
Take
So
my
you-
bishop, I take your rook. Yeah,
I
it's
take
okay.
your rook, so
Right.
it doesn't help me.
It puts pressure on if he moves his knight, your bishop is yours.
Yeah, but
That's right.
Either
He
way.
doesn't have to run away yet because there's no threat. He
Yeah.
cannot take because otherwise queen takes rook.
Right.
Pins everywhere.
So he's really just keeping that knight bad.
You could
Because
take
that knight makes it really difficult to develop that knight.
it's
He's making it difficult
that's
to develop the knight.
that's a what idea of the feature.
Yep.
So at that point, they can make castle if you want.
So he doesn't want to run away, right?
No, you can make castle.
Castle?
Well,
He doesn't castle yet,
you know how to.
but he's going to, yeah. He wants to get this king out of the center, but he took first. He says, okay, now is the time to trade. So takes, black takes back with the pawn. Rook takes. It's guarded twice and it's defended, it's attacked twice. So the attacker will lose anytime it's even. Attacker will lose. 2 attackers, 2 defenders. Defender wins. So we can't take it. We just make our king safe. Bringing our rook into the game. Now our rooks are
Happy.
protecting each other. And the king is safe behind a pawn
Wall.
wall. Pawn wall. All right. Good question. Why did he do that? This rook was undefended here. He moves up, very sneaky. Is this rook guarded now?
Yes.
Yes, by who?
The queen.
Which means, what does white have to move?
Bishop.
It means this isn't pinned anymore. We can't take here. We'll lose our queen. You see? So we have to move our bishop.
E2, run away.
E2, run away. E2, run away. That's right. If we go to D3, probably. Oh, he still can't push there.
Why not?
Queen exchange.
Oh, the queen's guarded now. Aha! That's right. So yeah, we don't want to do that. So bishop to E2, good. Improves his worst piece, the knight, the only piece not developed. He gets it into the game. Now, white has completed his development. He wants to improve one of his pieces too. Who's not doing a job?
The knight.
Rook.
The knight is not doing a job. Who can find a good square for this knight? The green one? This one? Oh my gosh, that's the right move. Knight to D4. Give me a high five.
Yeah.
Good job.
Wow.
Whoa. Okay, can someone else explain this move? Why knight to D4?
If he takes a knight, then the rook can take this rook.
That's right. This pawn is pinned.
Okay.
Pins everywhere. Use tactics in the middle game. They're all over the place. It's pinned. He cannot take the knight otherwise. Ooh, my. This is not looking pretty. Okay. So,
Oh, Gabby, before you move that one, I want to explain something because maybe somebody say, oh, why did they not take the pawn with the bishop in E6? So that's just wrong. Is due to
good
that.
question. Is this pawn on E6 a poisoned pawn? That poisoned pawn is when it looks free and you take it, and then you find out later that it wasn't free.
There is no pawn on E6.
A6.
Okay, A6.
Because it looks like two attackers, one defender. Thank you, Juan. Yes. But is this pawn free or is it poisoned?
Well, after the knight's moved, you still, the rook's protected again, and then the bishop will be pinned to the queen.
The bishop will be pinned to the queen.
So you can go back knight b8.
I think we have a better move than knight
Yeah,
b8.
better move.
Queen D6.
Queen d6? Nope, we have a better move than queen d6.
Rook C6.
Why is this bad? What did he do to himself? He what?
Two pieces together.
He pinned himself. So when you have a pin, what are you supposed to do? Attack it
Twice.
again. It rhymes. When you have a pin, attack it again. So how can we attack this bishop again? It's not queen d6.
Maybe rook C6.
What about rook to a8? Just
Yeah.
like that.
Listen to that.
Just double rooks. It's so natural. Rooks always want to be doubled. They work better together. Now, if he runs away, we take the queen.
So see, I like C6 because it pinpoints the same pressure point, but also develops the rook. You know, if you move the bishop at E6, the rook's open for
I
options.
think probably it does the same job.
Yeah, I think on that position, that's kind of like,
It's okay.
yeah.
I still think it's rooks like this look weird to me. I just
Yeah.
like doubled, but it's personal preference. I mean, yeah, rook to d6 works too. But good. Okay, so this is a poisoned pawn. You cannot take there.
Is there anything stronger with just moving the knight somewhere? Like leaving that pin there? Because it's pinned, you could just leave it pinned for, because it's,
Well, it is attacking the rook, so we can't just leave this rook here. We have to move
Well-
the rook.
trade two rooks for a queen, I guess, yeah.
Two rooks is better than a queen.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
So, right? Because how much is 2 rooks?
10.
10. But it's not just 10 versus 9. It's because you have 2 of them and you only have 1 queen. Okay? Depends on the position. But yeah, you don't want to leave this here and exchange 2 rooks for 1 queen. He's saying like this.
But if there was a check here.
Okay?
No, you still got a queen and an army.
He's got a pass pawn. It's very close in this position, but usually 2 rooks can beat a queen pretty easily. All right, so this is here. This is here.
No, bishop in E2
Yeah, bishop was on E2.
and
Pawn on
A6.
A6.
Yeah,
Rook on D8.
and
Yeah.
C8.
Okay.
Is that all in
All right, so white instead chose knight to D4. Taking advantage of the pin and putting his knight in the center, in one of the 4 center squares,
all the
and hitting
the bishop?
the bishop, because who is better?
The bishop.
Bishops. Bishops are better than knights a lot of the time. Okay?
Depends on.
Most of the time. Most of the time. Okay, so queen goes back, which means this pawn is not pinned anymore. Queen is guarded. So what does Fischer play? Knight takes e6. You bet. Bishops are better than knights. So we take the bishop, and he takes back. Okay. In this position, just looking at pawns, who do you think is better?
Black.
Black. Black has better pawn
6
structure.
to 5.
Why?
They're all in the middle.
Yes. He has 2 pawns in the center, plus a c pawn, which sometimes counts because it hits the center. And white only has 1 pawn. What else is going on other than 3 versus 1? Who is got more space?
Black.
Black has more space. Black takes up all the way to the 5th rank. How far does white go up?
3rd.
Only to 3. Okay, but this is why Bobby Fischer is maybe the greatest player that ever existed before Magnus Carlsen was born. In this position, I think that black, his pawns are more advanced. They're more attacking. Bobby Fischer turns this around and makes a pass pawn. And it's beautiful how he does it.
No way.
In this, can you believe that? No way! Yes, he makes a pass pawn from this position in a few moves. You'll see how he does it. He starts with pawn to e4. Okay. Who wants to take the pawn? Isn't it free? Is that a free pawn?
Yes.
Looks
Yes,
like it.
but why does he not take?
Because it doubles his and ruins his
Doubles his
advantage
pawns,
of the center.
ruins his advantage in the center. So Bobby Fischer says, here you go, have a free pawn. And Spassky's like, no thanks. I'd rather have, what kind of pawn is this? A pass pawn. He'd rather have a pass pawn than a free pawn because he wants this to become a queen. All right. So sometimes your opponent will give you a move, and this looks free. Is this poison?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's ruining your pawn structure. So he pushes forward. Now this is not just a pass pawn, this is a PPP. A protected pass pawn. Ooh, the strongest kind that exists. Okay, so D4. Bobby Fischer plays F4. He wants to make a pass pawn now. Queen to E7. E5. Whoa. Just 2 pawns. And now he's launching this attack down the E and F files.
E5.
E5. Why E5? What does E5 do?
I have no idea.
Well, it keeps the knight out of F6.
It keeps the queen out of D6.
Keeps the queen out of D6. Yeah, and F6, right?
And also, they create, you see the square in E4 and C4.
Yeah,
So
what
that-
color are these?
Light square.
Light squares.
Light
For
square.
who?
Is
For the
light square
bishop.
Fischer?
You got it. You got it. He makes light squares available for his bishop because bishops are better than knights, as long as they have a lot of space to run around. Okay? So if you have one bishop, where should you put all your pawns?
On a dark square.
On the other color. On the other color, so that your bishop can move around. Alright, so e5, rook b8. Black does not really have a plan here. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to improve
Pieces.
a piece. We're going to improve the bishop. Who can find a good square? A nice square where this bishop has a good job to do. He doesn't have a job here on e2 anymore.
H5?
C4.
c4, Richard. c4. Bishop to c4. Now he has a job. And what is his job?
Pinning the pawn of the king.
Pinning the pawn to the king. Okay, he's putting pressure on this pawn. It's only defended by the queen. It's only defended by the queen. But also, this bishop